What's up guys, Rogue9 here, and since the beta of Raid World War II has been out for a few days now, I thought I would take this opportunity to try it out and give you my thoughts on the game as it stands. Raid is a co-op focused shooter that follows in the footsteps of the now infamous heist simulator Payday 2 and therefore has some pretty big shoes to fill. At first glance, Raid definitely looks and feels a lot like Payday, which is no surprise given that it still runs on the Diesel game engine initially developed in 2002 by the studio Grin, which was closed and then kind of reopened as Overkill Software. Even back in 2013, when Payday 2 was released, the Diesel engine already felt somewhat outdated, and now, 4 years on, it makes Raid look and feel more of an indie game than a fully fledged production. The slightly outdated graphics never harmed Payday 2 though, so there is no reason that Raid cannot recapture the spark of its predecessor. And given its heritage, what I was really hoping to see in this game were the things that made Payday 2 great. First off, I want to see excellently designed, intricate heist missions. Payday 2 had this great mix of 3 different mission types. You had all-out combat missions where the masks went on the minute the round started. They were great fun and a welcome change from sneaking around all the time. On the other end of the spectrum were the stealth-only missions, where triggering an alarm would mean the end of the heist. On higher difficulty settings, these jobs could be very challenging and sometimes even a bit frustrating, but completing one of these break-ins was also immensely satisfying. And finally, you had my favorite mission type. Heists that could be stealthed, but if things went wrong, you could still go loud and finish the mission anyway. As of the current beta build, Raid World War II also seems to incorporate this kind of mission design philosophy. There are 3 missions, 2 of which can be stealthed, sort of, and 1 of which is a straight-up combat job. And I say sort of stealth since the game in its current form does not include any ranged stealth weapons, so all of your stealth kills need to be up close and personal, which makes them rather challenging. I don't know for sure if silencers will be introduced later on in the game, but I would have to assume that they will. Nevertheless, as of now, the available missions feel very combat heavy, and there are some other elements of Payday that are not included in the game yet. The 3 missions in the Raid beta feel simpler and less intricate than the missions I was expecting, and it took me a while to put my finger on exactly why I had that feeling. It finally occurred to me though that the missing element was civilians. What made the Payday heists feel so organic and complex was that beyond patrolling guards and police, each map was usually populated with a good number of non-combatants that also needed to be managed. Dealing with civilians is what made many of the heists feel real, and the Raid beta is missing the entire civilian/hostage management aspect, and it thereby feels a lot more like a shooter than a heist simulator. Another thing that made Payday great were the mind-blowing customization options. Putting together a set of perk decks, coordinating your abilities with other players to make sure that all bases were covered, personalizing the look of your character with your own unique masks, and last but in no way least, creating an amazing array of customized weapons catering for each kind of job, gave Payday 2 a depth that put the game head and shoulders above any co-op game out there. This again is something that Raid, at least in its current state, seems to be completely lacking. There are no masks, so customizing the look of your character will consist of choosing one of 4 nationalities and then being lucky enough to pick up one of the limited items of clothing available for each. The 4 different character types each have a unique combat ability and each have access to a different type of main weapon, but this system is nowhere near as detailed or important as the perk decks in Payday. Having only 4 main weapons and 1 sidearm in the game as of now is not really a huge concern for me. I'm sure that more weapons will be added before the game's final release, but there is something else about the weapons that does worry me. The wonderfully detailed and intricate weapons customization of Payday seems to have made way for a simple level-based upgrade system, and all of the upgrades are unlocked via combat-related tasks. This signals that combat will be a far greater focus of the game than stealth will, and having a straightforward leveling system means that we won't have the joy of trying out different attachment combinations to end up with the version of the gun that is perfectly adapted to our playstyle and mission type. With Raid, it seems to be just a question of attaching the best possible barrel, best possible stock and magazine to simply get the most advanced version of the gun. There are just no trade-offs whatsoever. So the verdict for now, sadly, is that Raid looks looks and feels like Payday, i.e. it has somewhat dated graphics and mechanics, but it is missing everything that made Payday great. The almost infinite possibilities in customizing your character in terms of the perk deck, the weapon loadout, and the unique masks have made way for a much simpler and straightforward leveling system. And in addition to that, the missions, at least the 3 that are included in the beta, also feel far less intricate and almost completely combat focused. With no need to manage civilian NPCs and with the fairly linear mission paths, the raids simply do not stand up to the old heists that we all know and love. Oh, and last but not least, I think I should also mention the music. Each of the different raids has a unique background music, and in fitting with the World War II theme, we are presented with a variety of orchestral scores. Basically like the background music you'd expect to hear in any decent film or TV production. And as such, it's perfectly adequate, it's perfectly fine, but also sort of forgettable. I get it, I understand that the type of music we saw in Payday 2 probably just wouldn't fit into a World War II setting, it would just clash. Although you know what, there's one way to find out. Let's see what the raid would look like with Payday 2 music. Okay, yeah, no, you know what, I take it back. That whole part about maybe an orchestral theme fits the setting better, no, forget it. Payday 2 music just makes everything better. And it just seems like, well, dare I say it once again, this is one of the aspects that made Payday 2 great that just seems to be kind of missing a little bit. If you were looking forward to a new and updated version of Payday 2 set during the Second World War, I'm sorry to say that, at least for now, it does not look like Raid is going to be that game. Obviously, all of the opinions I have mentioned here are completely based on the beta, and the final game will be more fleshed out than the version that is available to play right now. And of course, I also have to mention that some of my disappointment definitely stems from the high expectations I had for Raid World War II. As always, please do share your opinions in the comments section below. What were your favorite aspects of Payday, and what are your thoughts on Raid? I look forward to reading your messages, and with that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.